Okay, welcome. This is the HyFlex Learning Community Gathering for February 2025, and today we're going to be talking primarily about the HyFlex Collaborative Conference coming up in June. Save the date. Hope to see you all there. And so we have a panel of people here today who are part of the HyFlex Collaborative and the committee that's really kind of putting together the conference. But we're glad to have all of you here as well. And so hopefully we'll have some opportunity to hear from you, your comments, your questions, and go through some of the any of the details that are top of mind for everyone. We will probably have some more people joining us as we go, and so I'll be letting them in from the waiting room as soon as I notice them. But I thought I'd just kick it off just to make sure that you know where the conference planning information is, and we'll start that by going to. I'm going to share my website here. So there's the HyFlex Learning Community. The link that we send out for the HyFlex Collaborative Conference goes to this site. This is the site that's managed by our colleagues at in SUNY at the University of Albany, and we have a panel of people here today that I'm going to ask them to introduce themselves, and then we'll go from there. And so you probably know. My name is on the screen here. I'm Brian Beatty. I'm at San Francisco State, and I've been doing HyFlex since the idea started 2005, 2006 timeframe. And I've been helping kind of oversee the HyFlex Learning Community since its inception way back in 2021, a long time ago, almost 5 years ago. It's only 4 years, I guess. So let me just pass it to my right on my screen is Glory Hink, another member of the HyFlex Learning Community. Glory?
Hi, everyone. I'm Glory Hink. I'm an instructional designer at the University of St. Thomas in Minneapolis, St. Paul. I've been working with Brian in this group for, I don't know how many years now, quite a few years, and have been involved in several EDUCAUSE and other conferences, presenting workshops or sessions on HyFlex. And this will be my third year working with the HyFlex Collaborative Conference. So I'm hoping to see all of you there and looking forward to any of your submissions. And Gina.
Thank you, Glory. Hi, Gina. Hi, Gina. Hi, everybody. Hi, Gina. Dr. Gina Riley, CUNY Hunter College. I'm so excited to be part of the HyFlex Collaborative. I work with Dr. Jerry Rivera Wilson on issues regarding K-12 HyFlex. I've also written things about the challenges and benefits of HyFlex, and I've been doing HyFlex since probably 2010 or so, and I currently teach a HyFlex course that is part of a student teaching practicum. So I'm so excited to be with you all and talk about your research and talk about the conference, and I will give it to Dr. Rivera Wilson.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jerry Rivera Wilson. I'm with the University of Albany, and I'll give you just a brief history. I had the good fortune of meeting Brian a few years ago, and I actually took his HyFlex course. And as a result of our continued conversations, the HyFlex Collaborative Conference was born, and we partnered with the HyFlex Learning Community, and this is the third year that we'll be doing this conference, and I've had the pleasure of expanding my colleague list to include Glory and Jeannie and Gina and some others that are here that I can't see. I've been at the University of Albany for almost 30 years. I've done some research in HyFlex and taught in HyFlex, but I am a teacher and teacher educator, and I'm the director of AATLAS, which is the Academy for Advancement of Teaching Leadership in Schools, and that's where the HyFlex Collaborative Conference page at the moment sits. And so I'm happy to be here and to share any information regarding the conference or any questions that anyone might have, but thank you for having me.
Who's next, Jerry?
Jason.
I'm Dr. Jason Vickers. I also hail from the University of Albany, where I've been working for about 14 years. I've been with the HyFlex Collaborative Conference since its inception 3 years ago. And I teach courses on designing, instruction, and technology and AI and education. So it's good to be here. I'm going to pass it off to Jean.
I do like that it tells me I'm muted. I was hoping that y'all would get some practice lip reading. But anyway, not quite awake. So I'm Jean Samuel, and I've been with the HLC since it started. I've been with HyFlex, working with that since about 2014. And right now I'm pretty much dialing back what I do. I stay with HyFlex because I'm fascinated by watching where it's going to go and hopefully can help with the journey. I'm very much into assessment, and lately I've been using AI, different ones, for writing and some programs for writing, something that's new to me. I'm used to doing professional writing, but not creative writing. And it's really interesting to see where things are going. Things are moving very quickly. And so I'm excited about this next conference. I'm thinking about what my topic's going to be and who is left to pass off to.
Well, I think we have all of our organizers there. And for those of you who are participating, if you could put your name and where you're coming from into the chat, that would be helpful. And if you've got anything that you'd like to contribute just to the introduction, vocally, just raise your hand and I'll call on you. But if you're doing it in particular work in HyFlex or starting out on your own for the first time, or maybe doing some research in that, we'd love to hear, a quick little 30-second blurb if you care to share. Okay, so David, go ahead.
Hi, everyone. My name is David Uminski. I'm from St. Philip's College in San Antonio, Texas. I am piloting a HyFlex course design and instruction for my department, the Tourism, Hospitality, Culinary Arts Department. And so I pretty much was already recording my lectures live using Zoom. And so really the only shift to HyFlex was to allow my students to log in on Zoom remotely, synchronously. And since then, I've actually seen a drop in absences, about 20 to 30% drop from previous semesters. And so students have really taken advantage of the opportunity to join the class synchronously and attend class in their participative. So it's really exciting.
Yeah, you've got built-in evidence of their need for some flexibility right there, and that's one of the great advantages I think that HyFlex can offer. When I started this, I thought my absences would go away to zero, right? Especially since I also gave them an asynchronous path, didn't go to zero. There's still one or two people out of my classes of 20 to 25 who find some way not to do anything in a particular week. But the nice thing is they can sort of do catch up because everything's there for them, even though things happen, and so flexibility only gets them so far as participation mode. Thanks, David. Anyone else want to share? Interesting thing that they're doing with HyFlex. I noticed that Kenny joined us. Kenny's also part of our conference team. Kenny, do you want to introduce yourself? We just did a brief intro for each one.
Sure. My name is Kenny Hirschman. I am the director of the Frankfurt Center for Learning and Scholarly Technologies at Hunter College School of Ed. And I have been doing research in HyFlex with Gina for the last 2 or 3 years.
All right. Thank you, Kenny. Okay, I see some people are posting into the chat. Please continue to do this so we get a sense of who's here and maybe what things would be most interesting for you. So let's talk a little bit more about the conference. I know that's probably what most of us are here for. So our conference, this is the third time we're doing a conference, and we started doing this conference after Jerry and her team and the HyFlex Learning Community kind of leadership team, we got together and thought there's something here for us to do together, right? Because their focus, it was primarily in the K-12 area. Our focus was primarily in the higher ed area. not necessarily intentionally, but that's where most of us, we were all working there. A lot of us had been teaching there or instructional design there. And that's where our largest, groups of people over the years have been using HyFlex in that area. Although there have always been people who have been trying to do this in different areas in the K-12 world. Way back, even a decade or more ago, there were some high schools that were basically dabbling with the same idea. Can we give students some flexibility? It means something differently often in K-12 because there are other, contextual factors involved, like state laws and things like that. But there's a lot of overlap in what we do, and the interest is certainly there. Well, we thought, well, what about a conference? And so we came up with we were going to actually do a HyFlex conference on site and online, and it seemed to make sense before we actually launched it. It looks like this is going to be completely online because of the interest of how people were going to participate. So it became an online conference. It's one day, about 7 or 8 hours. Or roughly, I guess, of presentations and proposals. And so this is the third year we're doing it. I'll also say we're third year, and that's our third platform we're using to support it. And so there's a little bit of a story there that I guess someone can share if they're interested in it. But we are expecting to have a wonderful conference this year. It's on Thursday. It's a one-day conference, and all the information starts at this page. We've got a call for proposals, a registration link. The agenda will be filled out, obviously, as we're planning the conference. And if we have sponsors that are interested in supporting us in any particular way, we will be sharing their information as well. So that's the super big overview. Let me pass it over to Jerry to get her perspective on the overview of the conference, why we're doing it, et cetera, et cetera.
So the HyFlex conference, in particular this year, is a balance of information for those who are just beginning to dabble with HyFlex or want to learn more about HyFlex, and also for the more experienced individual who would like to gain more information about how to increase the power and the potential of HyFlex in engagement and student learning. So this year, our title, if you want to go to agenda and more, Brian,
sure,
you could navigate us there. That would be great. Thank you. And so you'll see here, we have information about the call for proposals. We have information about we have an early registration rate for those who would like to take advantage of, if you don't necessarily have to present. You could come and attend and gain information. We're actually doing things a little differently, as Dr. Beatty has shared with you earlier. We are accepting proposals that are pechakuchas. We are accepting panel presentations. We are doing things just a tad bit different to invite different voices to that align with our conference title this year, which is Elevating HyFlex Innovations and Best Practices for Future Ready Learning Environments. And specifically, we are looking for proposals in the area. If you scroll down a little bit, you'll see about technological advancements, pedagogical strategies, institutional frameworks, equity and access, which is inherent with HyFlex, value and sustainability and research. So, generally speaking, every year there's about 100-something people who attend. It is a pretty full conference. We deliver it completely at a distance. And so at least this year, that will be the case. So it's asynchronous and synchronous. That means that if you want to zoom in, you can. And if not, you can catch the rerun. We'll have it out on the YouTube channel and you can capture the information. Also, you'll have access to the platform where you'll see the PowerPoints and other information that was shared during that day. So you'll have access to that information for a period of time. So that's what makes it really nice. And we are accepting proposals. So if you're interested in presenting or your work, you have an opportunity to do so. Obviously, the standard panel paper presentation, as I mentioned earlier, that we're doing something new with panel presentations. We always have at least 1 or 2 panel presentations during the conference, but we are inviting individuals to assemble a panel on HyFlex. And of course, we're doing these lightning rounds, which are better known as pechakuchas, which just to be able to share information rapidly and quickly, and also to accommodate a number of presenters. So I think that will be very exciting this year. This is our first time doing it. So that's a quick overview. I placed in the chat, and I'll do it again, is to share with you that our deadline date for if you want to submit something, is April 14th. So please, it's pretty simple. It's a Google form. You complete the information, and we hope to have everyone notified in the first week of May whether or not their proposal has been accepted. It is peer reviewed. That's the quick recap of what's on the website. But, feel free to reach out to either Brian or myself. We are the, in quotations, the co-chairs, and happy to address any questions that you might have regarding the one-day conference. I think it's a lot of information in one day, but you can revisit that information after the conference, whether you attend in person or attend review the information at a later date, which makes it, and we'll also have that information after the conference on our YouTube channel.
And I'll also say that we have had some difficulty with our proceedings from our last conference, that we are still working on some technical issues with the hosting organization to get those available to participants. We don't expect those problems this year. We expect that the system that we'll have in place will have proceedings ready to go very shortly after the conference is ended. So Gina, did you want to say something about the proposals and the things we're looking for, or maybe some of the things that are different this year?
Yeah, sure. I think for those of you who have attended before, as well as those of you who haven't attended, this proposal call is so exciting. We've tried to level up with regards to our call for proposals in each year for the conference. And so our first year, we were talking about HyFlex in its most basic way. And then last year, we really did have so many proposals on sort of immediate level HyFlex. And this year, we're so excited to really elevate one step further, thinking about future-ready best practices, thinking about how you integrate AI in HyFlex, how you integrate technology, how you integrate practical strategies, how you see HyFlex, right, with all these changes. We're always interested in pedagogy, differentiated instruction, how you might create personalized learning pathways or programs through HyFlex. We're also interested in institutional frameworks. Many of you have different HyFlex-based programs at your colleges and universities that you might not even call HyFlex or advertise as HyFlex. So thinking about those programs and really talking about how they support HyFlex delivery. Thinking about HyFlex as a tool for equity and access. This is especially important as we're seeing a rise in the amount of individuals where absenteeism is an issue, where maybe there are accessibility issues, right? How does HyFlex create a more equitable and accessible environment? We're also looking for proposals on value and sustainability. How does HyFlex elevate student success? How is it cost effective for the college? Jeannie just put something in chat about her college and university, and how it's more cost effective there. We also want proposals on student satisfaction and how students feel about the HyFlex environment, as well as sustainability, right? Colleges and universities are in sort of a vulnerable position right now with a lot of changes. And so thinking about how HyFlex can really help sustain and elevate the college and university experience from all levels, community college, undergraduate, and graduate. Also, we want to know about your research. So tell us all of the amazing research you're doing at HyFlex. Tell your peers about this conference. I've been seeing so many different peer-reviewed articles on HyFlex, especially within the last year. So thinking about all the new research and strategies that have come up with regards to HyFlex. And of course, like we're super excited about the different types of proposals that we'll be looking at. So including those pecha those short little bite-sized proposals that are really super. It's a nice way to get bite-sized information to your audience. It's a really nice way to plan a presentation that might be different than you've planned before. So we are so excited about seeing your proposals and seeing the different ways in which you can present.
Yeah, I'll say over the years, we've had some very interesting proposals and a lot of new work as well. As a matter, I had a doctoral student, Dr. Ricardo Flores, here from California. He did a dissertation and he was looking at the experiences of minoritized students in HyFlex courses. But one of the really interesting things that he found in his studies around equity and access is that the students who seemed to be so appreciative of the flexibility they had for participation were often working mothers with kids at home who found that they didn't have the time to be somewhere on campus, especially for programs that might have been in the late afternoon or evening, because they had family requirements that had to be met, and so they, by having the opportunity to participate from home, maybe asynchronously, but that was one particular group of learners, and I think we've seen that in studies over the years. There are a lot of research studies already done with HyFlex, well over 300 that I've just kind of found on my own, and that's not even looking for all the different terms that people are using. And so the HyFlex Learning Community bibliography kind of lists those, but you can find them searching. Another thing I find interesting is that, for the last few years, a lot of the newer work that was coming out was often in the context of the pandemic or the emergence from the pandemic. And there was a huge spike in interest in HyFlex 2020, 2021. And a lot of that has leveled off. If I can find it, I'll show you where the Gartner technology curve kind of puts HyFlex technology. And it shows that, kind of the very peak of overall interest, at least in the market, is starting to wane, because now what we're doing is we are finding ourselves moving towards, we don't need survival anymore, from the pandemic. But now what we're finding is that the people who are adopting HyFlex are doing it for a long-term reason. Many of us are under enrollment pressure or budget pressure. And so we're finding the need to be more efficient and more effective in what we're doing as far as reaching out. And clearly this has been something that has shown the capability, at least, of supporting that. And so we're seeing institutions now that are looking at like flexibility in their STEM courses, but even going towards the labs now. How do we build HyFlex labs? In many cases before, there was HyFlex in the lecture for STEM classes, but not HyFlex so much in the lab. And so now institutions and faculty that have been reluctant to do so are looking at that as a solution. We're finding other institutions that have never wanted to really kind of embrace the online aspect, moving towards HyFlex as a way of kind of trying to recapture some of those students or grab some market back from and try to attract those students back with a flexible participation without becoming a fully online institution, right? Which is exactly what we were trying to do in 2005 with this idea. How do we kind of keep our enrollment steady or grow without becoming a fully online class or program? So those are just some of the things that I'm looking forward to. And of course, AI is going to be part of a lot of what we're talking about, no doubt. Not necessarily intentionally, although, that is certainly one of the developments many of us are working on. Does anyone is working on AI stuff in the world of HyFlex and wants to talk about it? Any of our organizers or participants? Because I could talk about it, but I've been talking a lot. So
I mean, I can chime in just how we use AI within our student teaching practicum HyFlex class. We do a lot of group work, heterogeneous and homogeneous, with regards to AI, utilizing Magic School AI, creating different types of lesson plans, comparing it to the lesson plans that we create on our own, thinking about new ideas in material use and new ideas in like project-based learning and how they can be integrated within lesson plans. So we are using AI in our student teaching practicum class, and our students are loving it. And it's one thing, you know, when you have a class that is mixed in person and fully online, it's really fun to come together utilizing new technology within that class. So that's one way we can use AI within student teaching practicum classes.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm working on some things now about AI in the instructional design process and on how we create differently now with AI tools and how we can make that more efficient and but you know, it's like a lot of things with AI. It has some value and it has some potential challenges as well, I guess we should say. Last year in the conference, I talked about how I was using custom GPTs for grad students, actually with any students, but all my students almost are grad students, so that's who the default group is. But that was just the very first start of it. I just kind of created those a couple of months earlier. This year, we're doing some usability testing and some user experience testing with graduate students projects that are working on 3 or 4 different teams doing this. And so in the summer, I'll be reporting what we found and some of the ways we've tweaked our custom GPTs to make them even more usable and useful, and actually assessing their effectiveness in meeting the interaction goals as well. And so that's something I will be bringing into the conference. And I know there are others who are working on various AI applications as well. Glory, did I see you raise a finger?
Yes, I had to unmute. We are, I created a, I don't know, workshop sort of. It was supposed to be for an EDUCAUSE learning lab, but it, unfortunately, there wasn't enough enrollment. But it's called Designing HyFlex Courses with an Assist from AI. And I think, I was just trying to see here, I think I can share it with you. I think we have it in the public domain. But basically what it does is it goes through and talks about how you can use AI to make it more efficient to design HyFlex courses. It talks about a little bit about what large language models are, a little bit about sample use cases and AI prompts, and they are specific to, I'm going to show you what I did here. Sorry, I wasn't totally organized to share this, but let me share real quickly. So what I did was I created sample use cases and AI prompts. So if you want AI to assist you to do these things related to creating a HyFlex course, AI can help you with rubrics. And then here's some samples of the initial prompt, the response, the follow-up prompt, the follow-up response, and then the final rubric that was generated from AI that I put in Canvas. Evaluate a syllabus against a quality rubric. You can use AI to evaluate a rubric. And I believe what I did is in this example, I evaluated from the HyFlex model syllabus that was online from Las Positas College. So these are just some things. There's lots of ways that AI can help make teaching your multimodal courses more efficient, because when we do research and we ask faculty, that's the biggest challenge often, is that it takes more time in some ways. So I'll see if I can find this link so that you could go in and look at this if you want.
Jean, go ahead.
I just want to, I guess, not add on to Glory's, but looking at different ways to use AI, what I've come across, because we've been able to play with the reasoning ability with ChatGPT lately. I think the paid version doesn't, but I'm cheap. And so you're able to pick search or reasoning. And the reasoning is really exciting because it goes through the step. And I find that, we often have students who think, oh, the end is all that it is. I've got to get to the A. And they don't think about the process is really, to me, is what's most important. How do you get to that grade. And so with ChatGPT and its reasoning, you start to study it and learn it. You could go through it and, as a student, and say, so that's how I can approach this problem. This is how I can break it down, and check your work, or to actually learn how to arrive at it. So I'm really excited about some of the things that are going in it that we can repurpose for other reasons.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Thanks, Glory, for adding the link to the chat there. I see that just popped in. Well, I'm going to show you another a picture. Last year at the conference in the keynote, I think I was talking about this. I know I had a blog post on it, but around the Gartner hype cycle for technology in higher education and where HyFlex was positioned in there. And I have to say, I had a conversation with Gartner to get early access to this, because the report is available from 2024 in the summer, but it's not inexpensive. And so if your institution is already a Gartner partner in some particular way, you probably have access to this. Most of us, usually we have to wait about a year. Anyway, I had a conversation with them because I was wondering where HyFlex classrooms would be on this chart in June of 2024. And so they do some surveying of the landscape, essentially, the people they have access to from the information technology or the academic technology aspect of institutions, and they look at the technology use. And so what you see here on this chart is where HyFlex classrooms as a technology are, right? So they're not really looking at HyFlex adoption, HyFlex pedagogy, HyFlex implementation. They're looking at the use of the term and from the marketing perspective as well as the installation perspective. And so you can see where it is. We've kind of gone over the hype cycle peak over the last 2 or 3 years, as I said, and now the technology aspect is starting to head down the trough of disillusionment. And what this is saying is that there are a lot of institutions, typically what happens in this hype cycle is that after this peak of hype, this can solve all of our problems. We realize that after we've implemented, it doesn't actually solve all of our problems, or yeah, it can solve some problems, but there's a cost here, and that cost could be, something that maybe we're not really ready to address, or maybe when we do the value proposition, I'm not quite sure it's going to give us a value for what we thought it would be. So that there's a less demand for it as it moves down. But then typically what happens, and this is what we find with HyFlex uptake in many places, is that we find out what it really does for us, where the real value was. And now we have a different way of kind of introducing the value proposition within our community so that the people who decide to do it are maybe better informed. It's not going to be, it's the golden bullet, or I probably don't want to use that terminology, but it's the thing that's going to solve everything. No, it's going to solve these particular things probably really well. And here's what you need in order to make that happen. And so if you look at the technologies that are farther along on the curve, some of these are ones that you may actually have used. Educational analytics, design thinking, so all of these kind of went through the same kind of cycle. Anyway, I just thought I would show that to you because I haven't been able to find it in my normal general open to the public kind of searches, and so I had an opportunity to have a conversation with them about what HyFlex actually was, because the people designing this don't always know that whole much, and it was an interesting conversation, I'll just say. Okay. All right. Anyone else have anything to add to what's HyFlex in your world doing now?
I'm so curious about Avion's dissertation and all the different definitions that she's seeing with regards to HyFlex, because we know that this is a thing, right? It could be like you hear the term hybrid, you hear the term HyFlex, sometimes they're used interchangeably. Avion, if you want to talk about what you're seeing, I'm excited.
Hi, everyone. My name is Avian Morris, and I'm currently finishing up my dissertation. So I'm going to be defending in about 2 months, approximately 2 months. So my dissertation topic is the factors that impact the implementation of HyFlex learning environments of higher education institutions within the Caribbean context. So I am looking at the leaders and also the faculty of a particular institution, how they understand HyFlex and what are the challenges that they foresee in terms of implementing it. So it's very unique to the Caribbean region because the challenges that we face, some from Trinidad and Tobago, are unique compared to the rest of the world, and in particularly from interviewing the leaders, everyone had a different definition. Some of them were saying, yes, this is what we are doing at the institution. And when I gave them, Dr. Beatty, I'm using your definition for my dissertation, they were like, oh no, that's not what we do. So they think that because they are doing blended learning, where they have some of their classes online, some of them being face-to-face in a particular course, they have the conception in their mind that this is HyFlex. And I'm like, no, it's more than just having your classes split online face-to-face. So it's very interesting going through the data, analyzing the data. So I'm excited. I will be submitting my proposal for the conference as well. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, actually, I mean, I already wrote a note. I'm going to have to invite you to be one of our webinar guests after you've defended and you're ready to talk about it as well, so that we can have a session that really helps you kind of explore and give you some more time to go into the details. It is interesting how many institutions or people in institutions will look at HyFlex and focus on the hybrid nature, especially the blended online or the blended synchronous nature, synchronous online and synchronous in person, and not address the flexibility at all, and then use the term HyFlex. And so if they come to me and ask me about it, I usually tell them, look, if you're not going to add the flexibility, then what you're really doing is not what we would call HyFlex. So find another term. Create a term that you can use and market within your community, what makes the most sense to you. And if you can't come up with your own term, I'll suggest, like, how about blended synchronous, which has been a term in the field for 15 years maybe, or online flexible. That's another term that we've talked about, because we have some classes. A lot of my classes, I don't get people face-to-face anymore. Occasionally I do, and I give that option to them. So I still call them HyFlex, even though most of the students are taking advantage of just the online piece. So in my own mind, I'm thinking, okay, when do I shift away from HyFlex to release that classroom to the university if they need it? I mean, we have some enrollment issues, so they don't really need it right now, apparently. But what would I call it then? I know some of our other members of the HyFlex Learning Community have already kind of crossed that bridge. Some decide to stick with HyFlex, some decide to go with another term, or institute or systems might start dictating that. I'm not sure, but yeah, it's interesting to have the kind of the cultural aspect of that too. I find that when I occasionally talk to different groups around the world, and it's very clear that in their region, with their way they do higher education or just education in general, it has to be addressed very differently, or somewhat differently at least. Some things that we do, and I assume, oh, why wouldn't everybody do this? Just wouldn't work there, or at least that wouldn't work there now. And maybe it's something that they would grow toward if they thought that there was a value. But those organizational cultures, as well as kind of other kind of cultural aspects, are important things to consider.
I think another thing, and Kenny can chat on this as well, that Kenny and I might be seeing is informal HyFlex, and usually by student request, right? Students will email professors and say, hey, can I join the class via Zoom because of, and it could be illness or it could be childcare. But I think there are so many classes running informally HyFlex without the college or university designation, the guerrilla HyFlex, right? And it comes up in every presentation we do, right? It's so easy to just open up a Zoom in an in-person class and have people join remotely. And so, yeah, thinking about university designation versus like the guerrilla HyFlex model.
Yeah, it's definitely true. And actually, I think that what I'm seeing is that more faculty are willing to listen to those requests and grant those requests, because the technology now to do that is pretty ubiquitous because of the pandemic experience, and faculty are more comfortable using it, and they should be allowing their students, I think, to have a recording of the class, even if they're not online. But that's my personal opinion. But yeah, that's one of those changes.
Yeah, and even in P12 spaces, we're seeing on IEPs, it's the first time I ever saw like a HyFlex designation on an IEP where a student with accessibility issues was able to go into a classroom that is normally an in-person classroom via HyFlex. So that's happening in some high schools as well.
Mhm.
I would also add, Gina, all of this guerrilla HyFlex that happens is problematic from a practical perspective because if we don't know that it's happening, we can't support it. It also, because it's flying under the radar, it's difficult to get a sense of how much HyFlex is truly happening on our campus. And if we knew of these other situations where HyFlex can benefit the students in their environment, it could make a stronger case for HyFlex across the school.
That's a really good point, Kenny. I mean, even on our campus, I know we have at least as much. Uh, I use the term lazy HyFlex. It's not really a nice term to use, but that's my personal approach towards it. It's not always the fact that faculty just doesn't want to do the work. It's probably a bad term. Maybe guerrilla HyFlex. I don't know. But anyway, one of the challenges that our senior administration doesn't know how much HyFlex is actually happening. And so when it comes up as maybe, as we're kind of on this glide slope down to a new normal of 15 or 20% fewer students, maybe we wouldn't have to go down as low and lay off as many faculty, adjuncts, and et cetera. If we decided to embrace this, it's already happening. What if we actually supported it and started marketing it to our student populations, especially those who have left and haven't gone back anywhere else? And so I have a conversation coming up with our academic senate chair, who's also kind of recognizing this, and so we're going to try to see what we can do to kind of message this a little differently, so that perhaps we can get some recognition and then support, and then, like you said, support for those faculty, so that when they are offering it, it's not just a one-off or a two-off, and they can say, actually, I have some students every week that need this flexibility, even though I may only get a request once every other week. For one or two students, there are 4 or 5 of the other ones probably who really need this, but they just aren't asking for it. Okay. Can you see how many of you have actually presented at a HyFlex conference before? Yeah, we all have. Evian, yes, right. Well, I would encourage you to, once again, get your proposals ready, and think about if the panel comes to mind, like we said earlier, we've done panels before, and we're going to have a couple of other structured panels again, but we are looking for panels from participants as well, who are not part of the organizing team. Especially, sometimes there's some research connection that we can do, or there's a series, and so hopefully that's something that you would consider doing, because it's just really interesting for us to hear that. And we'll have, once again, multiple sessions going on at the same time most of the time, and we'll have a couple of converging points where we're all together in the same room, but lots of different opportunities for presenters. Jerry, anything to
No, I think that we've covered it. I think we gave a nice overview of what our theme is, the type of proposals that we are encouraging submissions for, and that we really hope you will consider submitting a proposal. And if you don't feel like that this is your year to submit something, please consider attending and learning from your colleagues across United States and internationally. So I think and if you have questions that surface after today's webinar, then feel free to reach out to any of the team members or Brian or myself, and we'll be happy to address your inquiry.
Mm-hmm. Gina or anyone else from the organizing team?
Oh, we're so excited to see your proposal or see you on Zoom and see you at the conference.
All right. Well, thank you very much for participating. I think I'm going to stop the recording now, and we'll be having another webinar probably within a month or so, and stay tuned. And if you have questions about the conference, don't hesitate to reach out to us right away.